Are the Bandits inevitable? Well, Tony, it seems like we are going to find out on Saturday at 7 o'clock, April 4th at the KeyBank Center. It is Marvel Night, and we saw the jersey leaks this morning. The Bandits are rocking the Thanos thread, so we're going to see the inevitability of this Buffalo Bandits franchise going up against a team that they already played against this year in the Vancouver Warriors. Funny enough, Tony, to mention these guys, the Bandits, the last time they lost a game, they're currently on a 5-game heater. The last time they lost a game was against the Vancouver Warriors in the middle of February. So we're looking at these guys. We're looking at some revenge. The way I look at it is we're going to be rocking this Thanos persona. You either die a hero, which the Bandits could have done in 2023. Look good, feel good story, right? 15 years of trying, you finally win that championship. The Bandits went above and beyond that. They didn't die a hero. They lived long enough to become the villain. So I love that they're rocking the Thanos threads. Going up against a Vancouver team who is number 1 in the unified standings in the National Lacrosse League. We all know how the Bandits play up to competition. Finally back at home for what feels like forever ago. I think the last game they played at home was the Mammoth game. So it's been a long time. The Bandits are on a 5-game heater, wearing some new jerseys. Tony, what are you thinking about going into this Saturday? How are you feeling?
Pretty damn confident after, going on a 5-game stint of nonstop wins. Could heartbreaker, some last second buzz beaters, if you want to say, close calls, if you want to say. Thought we could have scored more than we should have, could have say. But again, it all depends on how they look back at what they did against in Vancouver, especially only losing by 2. It was only 11-9, not a big time loss, but in a word to them, that could have been a huge streak from February 14th, beating Halifax at home, and then just continuing on their trend. But you know what? That's okay. This is where what we like to say is the Bandits heat up moment. And this is great because right before it all matters, it all counts during the playoffs and whatever, this is when the team gets super hot. And coming into our barn, how the Bandits handled them, especially in the playoff round too, and just really embarrassing Christian Del Bianco and the defensive that they had. I got a strong feeling we're going to do that again this Saturday coming up, especially being in the home crowd in front of a sold-out 19,000-plus fan base in Banditland. So I can't wait. It's going to be an epic game, and I think they're going to really put the hammer down and cut them in half like Thanos did in the movies.
No, exactly. And I think the Bandits right now, they have a lot more to play for than the Vancouver Warriors do. The Warriors already have their playoff spot locked up. They're already number 1 in the unified standings.
Yep.
They got everything going for them. What the Bandits need to do, realistically, they have 3 games left, and they are 9-6. I think realistically, to punch your ticket into the playoffs, I'm not talking about specific seedings here, but you probably got to go 10-8. So if you win 1, 10 wins should be enough to at least get into 7th or 8th in the unified standings. So that's number 1. Get in. There is a chance where the Bandits can get in this week. If they win, I believe another team has to lose, but there is a playoff clinching scenario here on the table for the Bandits. I believe it's if the Bandits win and I think maybe Toronto or Las Vegas loses, something like that. I don't know. I looked at it before we went on, and of course I'm drawing a blank now, but there is a playoff clinching scenario here. Also, though, keep in mind that this is a team that beats you. This is a team that beat you earlier in the year. They want to beat you again. They already know how to beat you, but you can make the argument, Tony, that the team on February 20th is a hell of a lot different than the team that you're seeing right now on April Fool's Day. I think the team that you're seeing right now is, this is the post-deadline team. This is the team that's on a 5-game heater. This is the team that no matter what, or no matter what the circumstances look like, no matter how ugly these wins are, they still find a way to get those gritty victories, and that is what the Bandits have been doing. Back in February, January, the Bandits would actively find ways to lose in embarrassing fashion. I think you're looking at a totally different team now, so Vancouver has a lot to prepare for going into this Saturday.
Especially defensively and goaltending-wise, how much that this team has gelled, and not only that, but contain their opponents under 10 goals for the consistency of what they have done. And again, kudos to Priolo and Dawson and Vince for doing an incredible job back there, for just leading the way for the other defenders, and to now put the game back onto the offense, which in our visual eyes needs a little bit more of improving, that they can't, they got to score more than 10 goals a game just to even feel comfortable. But again, to us, I think that 12 to 15 average should be where they should be more comfortable at, which they can achieve. I'm not saying they can't do it, but the fact is that's where they have to get back to, especially with how, coming down to these last 3 games, especially a big one right here coming up Saturday against Vancouver. We've had success when we lost to a team, we figured them out and we won, like go back against Halifax. And then the other one against Colorado, where we got embarrassed inside Ball Arena, but then we come back and just become the Bandits that we all knew how to defend the noise. And especially the fact that what we did was play Bandits lacrosse. And that's exactly how you're going to do it against Vancouver this weekend. You play your style, you win the game in front of your crowd. That's going to be the advantage that you coming into the Saturday.
And not only that, the Bandits were almost dead in the water in the middle of February. Now they have a lot more to play for. They did not mail in the season. I'm telling you right now, Tony, that weekend where they swept when they went back-to-back, the Saskatchewan-Toronto weekend, that is what saved the season. And you almost got to thank your lucky stars that they had that opportunity to play back-to-back. When you're 2 games under 500 and you see a back-to-back on your schedule, there's your chance to get back to 500. And what Steve Dietrich told the guys going into that weekend was, hey, listen, you sweep this weekend or we're going to be selling off some pieces here and reloading for next year. What did the Bandits do? Did it really take a Steve Dietrich talking to in the locker room saying, hey, guys, like step it up or some of you guys are going to be shipped out? Did it really take that pep talk to really turn the season around? I'm not arguing how. I'm just wondering, where was that fiery energy in late January, early February? I mean, we could be looking at a top 3 seeded team right now, but you really can't be picky, especially when you start off the season 3-5, 4-6, really struggling there down the stretch. I'm just happy that they are in a top 5 spot right now, though. If you look at the standings, the Bandits are in 5th, and if the season ended right now, they would be traveling to Denver to take on the Mammoth. So I want, I don't know about you, Tony, but I want the Bandits to keep winning because I really don't like that matchup in a do-or-die quarterfinal, game 1, winner-take-all game. I don't like going to Denver there. Something in my soul doesn't like that either. So climb up in the standings, and the fact that we can talk about, hey, if you win in Vancouver and maybe a Georgia loses or maybe Colorado loses, you're looking at a home quarterfinal matchup if the season were to end at the end of the week. Like, after that Mammoth game in January, I would have told you absolutely not. Just get into the playoffs. You're probably not going to be hosting a quarterfinal matchup. The fact that we can talk about that being a possibility with 3 games to go is absolutely absurd. But this is what these win streaks do. Not only did you cancel out the 4-game losing streak with a 5-game win streak, but you're also heating up at the right time. Normally, we see the Bandits start to slump a little bit in March, and then they start to heat up again in April. This is a total reverse of what last year was. Last year, they were white hot. I mean, white hot in January, February. They didn't lose a game until the 8th game of the season last year. This year, they kind of got stuck in the mud there. They were ruddering their way through the mud. It seems like they finally got free out of that mud pit, and they have finally found the asphalt, and they found their way back onto the track. And it looks like they are surging for the top 4 spot. But Vancouver is no slouch, though, Tony. And whether or not the Bandits are wearing their Marvel threads or whether or not they're going to be embracing the villain role going into this weekend wearing the Thanos jersey, I do want to look at some players to watch for Vancouver. Should be no surprise to anyone, no surprise to any National Lacrosse League fan, but number 1 player to watch for me is Keegan Ball. This guy, no pun intended, is a baller on the floor. He is one of the best. He is one of the best out of those West Coast teams in the NLL. He's probably one of the best in the entire league, to be honest with you. And he's a guy that knows how to score on Matt Vince on a consistent pace. And we all know Vince's weaknesses over the shoulder. We've been seeing a little bit of that under the arm stuff going in too. And the one thing that Keegan Ball loves to do is snipe top corner. And how do you snipe top corner? You got to go over the shoulder or you got to go under the armpit going up to the top. So Keegan Ball is one of those players. He kind of reminds me of like a Ryan Benesh when he's facing against the Bandits. Like always seems to find his way to score 4 or 5 goals on us.
Sure.
He's no slouch. So when your defense is as good as it's been, and how great Matt Vince has been for what seems like for 5 straight weeks now, why not? I would usually use the word limit here. Why not shut down Keegan Ball entirely? If you shut him down the entire game, you're not losing that game. 100%.
No, not one bit. Not one bit. Especially though, that's a good way to do it, especially with the keys to the victory. The fact if you do limit him to 2 or less goals, and you completely shut down Keegan Ball, they got to look to other players themselves. That is the point. Actually, the point leader in the National Lacrosse League right now, coming into the Banditland. What do you do when you got a guy who knows how to find goals, regardless of the fact of like going up against either Matt Vince or going against Doug Jamieson or Ward or Scigliano? He knows how to find the back of the net. But if the defense somehow can figure out a way to shut him down or limit to 1 or 2, you should be able to walk away scot-free with that game. But there's still more players on that roster that we still have to look over because they've got an all-star lineup as well. And I mean, you want to talk about bandit killers? Curtis Dixon's on my mind because of the fact that he was a former Calgary Roughneck when they beat us in 2019, if that's correct, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And he knows how to beat any kind of goaltender known to man out there. Could it be Anthony Cosmo? Could be Steve Dietrich himself. But it's Matt Vince we're talking about. Matt Vince, who has really picked it up in those last 5 games and back to his youth. But again, Curtis Dixon, very smart, knows where to get to the short side on the goaltender. That's another key player you got to watch out for and try to limit him as much as possible to 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think if you hold him to maybe 1 or 2, and especially on the special teams, like can we send 2 on them? Like if the Bandits are on the power play, they have the ball shorthanded, we got to double up one of their top guys. It seems like the Bandits never really do that. So go in with that game plan. When you're on the power play, you have an extra guy out there, double up the superstar. He's not going to score. And we've seen some shorthanded goals scored against us this year. I think one of them was against Vancouver on the road, where they're on the power play, they score a shorty because they're still in one-on-one coverage with the superstar on that line, whether that's Dixon or whether that's Keegan Ball. If you're on the special teams and you're on the man up, double up the superstar on that play. But the only problem is when you have both Dixon and Keegan Ball on the field at the same time, it's going to be hard to do that because they're both superstars in their own right. The other guy I really want to look at is Adam Charlambides. I felt like the Bandits, for the most part, when they played against them in Vancouver, they did a pretty good job at holding him. It obviously wasn't to a 0, but he didn't do it as much damage as he possibly could. I think he scored maybe a goal or 2, but he did get a decent amount of assists there. But again, I think comparing the game and comparing the team overall from February 20th to April Fool's Day, it's like comparing apples to oranges. Those are 2 totally different things. The Bandits have really turned it around lately, so you got to sometimes switch up the players to watch for the opposite team. Maybe one night a couple months ago, these guys are going to go off. Maybe this time around, these guys are going to get shut down, and they have to rely on their secondary goal scorers because the Bandits' defense and goaltending has gone from a C- to a triple plus. And I don't know what's in the water that the Bandits are drinking, but I do think that they are capable of shutting down these superstars on that team. But Adam Charlambides is a good one. Curtis Dixon is a very good player, and Keegan Ball might win the MVP this year if he keeps up this historic pace he's doing for the Vancouver Warriors franchise. Obviously, got to look at Christian Del Bianco. CDB, he is he used to be a thorn. I want to say used to be a thorn in the Bandits side. The Bandits over the last couple years have seemed to figure him out. I think it was the 2024 season when he was playing with Calgary. The Bandits doubled them up and beat them 14-7 on Fan Appreciation Night. That was when the floodgates kind of opened for Christian Del Bianco, and that was what kind of proved to the Bandits that, hey, CDB is human. He's a guy that you can beat. So that was kind of the one that opened the floodgates. You mentioned earlier on in the show the playoff series from last year's clean sweeping them 2-0. Del Bianco looked extremely human in those games. but he's still a player to watch. I mean, he's still a top 3 goalie in this league. If I had to go top 3 goalies in the NLL right now, I have to go Vince, Dobson, and probably Christian Del Bianco as a top 3. So obviously a player of that stature. He's a champion. Obviously beat us in 2019. Made a deep postseason push last year. Obviously lost to the Bandits last year. He's still a guy that you got to look at because you never know what night you're going to get out of him. He might be the guy that only lets in 7 or 8, or he might be the guy that gets chased out of the net in the first 2 quarters. Because when we get into our Bandits players to watch, I love the fact that this game is back home because I remember Dylan Ward on our preview for the Colorado game just a few weeks ago. He was one of our main players to watch, and he got chased out of the game in the first quarter. So I think with that said, Vancouver's got a lot of great players. Max Adler, player to watch too. I know that he's lost a step. He's been away from the game for a while, and he's not as automatic as he once was, but we always got to watch some of the former Bandits too, though, right?
Of course.
Let's, though, jump into the key players to watch for the Buffalo Bandits. Entirely different team from just February 20th, a month and a half ago. I say the number 1 player that we got to watch right now is the guy that's the hottest on the floor. I want to see what number 48, Matt Vince, can do in between the pipes. I know that he wants to get his long overdue revenge against these guys. And when the Bandits, this has been a common theme for this team for years, but when they got to face against some of the top teams in the league, that is when Matt Vince shines, and that is when Matt Vince shines the brightest and holds teams to under 10 goals because you'll be looking, I want to say probably since the 2023 finals, when the lights were the brightest, he holds the Mammoth to 4 goals. Last year in the championship, the Rush, Game 3, do or die Game 3, holds him to 6. The playoff game against San Diego holds him to 4. When Matt Vince is facing against these top-tier teams in the National Lacrosse League, you can always count on one thing, and that one thing is that he steps up and plays up and beyond the competition that he's facing against. So look for a big night out of Matt Vince.
Defense in front of him helps him look that good. But not only that, when Vince sees those shots and he gets a hold of them, they rarely go in. But again, it comes down to experience, comes down to I've been there, done that, and comes down to you're going to have to be the man, you have to beat the man. And Matt Vince, again, finds a way every year, and I don't know how he does it, but he finds a way to bring back his 20s, his 30s, prime time Vince, where it's unheard of that we see this spectacular physicality, let me correct that statement, physicality of Matt Vince, how good he is still in net to this point. And I feel like this man can play forever until he's 60, or like Deadpool would say, until you're 90, whatever. It's the fact that how good Matt Vince knows the game so well, and he's got a great defensive core right in front of him. And that's the reasons why Matt Vince is looking so damn good, is because they have a system that's working with him. They have a defensive core that's working with him. And whatever's going on right now, just do not stop playing like that. That is the way you're going to win games these days. And that is a huge pick. I would definitely have said Matt Vince, because the way he's been playing right now, he is dynamite, hot, brick wall. Nothing is getting by me. Good choice on that one.
I did think, Tony, I think we mentioned on the post game for the Rush game that he had a 93 save percentage in the second half of the Rush game. Wow. Even when they were losing 7-4, he was still making all these crease diving saves, big pad saves. He was making over the shoulder saves, and the puck the ball was bouncing over the crossbar. I'm like, shoulder save from Matt Vince. Oh, it's over. The Bandits are going to win this game. Like Vino is looking like a wall in between the pipes. Like if the shots aren't going in over the shoulder and the offense starts to pick it up, like the Bandits are not going to lose that game. And I think you can expect that some goals are going to go in. But I think he's pumped up. I think the team's pumped up to go back and play at home. Who's a player that you're watching for the Buffalo Bandits going into this week against Vancouver?
Well, I know he wasn't red hot last week, but I got a feeling number 1 is going to come back and start going back to his old traits and scoring those much crucial high slot area goals where if they feed him the ball and he just takes it to the net, Tehoka Nanticoke's got to be the one guy that has been scoring almost every single game except for last week. And that's okay. Great streak, phenomenal job for what he has done from the beginning of the season to then. And I guarantee he's going to say, you know what, I got to bring it back at home. So this would be the perfect moment for him to step up and see a a hat trick out of number one to Hokaneticoke. And I got a feeling if him and Clay work together, I got a feeling that's your next 1-2 punch besides Dane and Josh, that you look at these two, that is going to be dangerous in the near future. But if they keep playing on the same line together and they know exactly what to do, look out for number one, guys. I got a feeling he's going to have a hat trick this Saturday.
Yeah, Tony, not a bad pick at all. I mean, he's scored in 14 out of 15 games this year.
Wow.
Compare those numbers to how he played last year. He is on a whole nother planet. I mean, that guy is playing out of his app. He's playing out of his head. It is unbelievable. One of the players, funny enough, I want to look at the defensive side of things for the Bandits.
Sure.
This guy almost had to be put in a straitjacket or maybe shot with a stun gun leaving the field last week because he was so pissed off. I want to see that carry over into this game. Paul Dawson, look out for him on the defensive side. He left the Sasktel Center as pissed off as I've ever seen him, giving the refs a bunch of stuff, giving the players on the rush a bunch of nonsense, and he was even chirping the coaching staff of the rush. He was chirping Derek Keenan and company. So this guy is going to be red hot going into the Vancouver game, and if you think that he's going to be intimidated by a Keegan Ball getting into his face, or an Adam Charlambides, or maybe some guys like Curtis Dixon, or I don't know, maybe even a Jeff Cornwall, big tough guy that wants to get up into his face. Who knows? I mean, he's a man possessed. I do think the penalty minutes need to stop. If he gets called for a penalty, he needs to shut his mouth and go to the box. But
yes,
you might see the old Rochester Nighthawks version of Paul Dawson, where he's just an unstoppable force and he's blocking a bunch of shots. Leads the NLL in blocked shots at age 41. I mean, that guy still got it too. He was on a little bit of a decline in the beginning of the season, but then again, so was the entire team. He, like Matt Vince, has been sipping out of the fountain of youth, and he has found his defensive groove back.
Yes, he has. I mean, the 6-foot giant, if you want to talk about it, knowing where to be and to block a lot of shots, like you say, like the Jay McKee of the Buffalo Sabres, who knew how to get in front and to protect his goaltender. Other than that, that is one scary dude to try to go up against and try to surpass and beat. But again, you got to go. Dawson has to kind of like bite his lip, because, even I'm like screaming at the TV, why are you trying to, you made your point. Stop, just right there. That's all you had to do. And then he just gets called for another unsportsmanlike conduct or so. And it kind of could have hurt the Bandits' win streak if they would have gotten more chances and opportunities. But Dawson's doing the right thing. I feel he's like getting under the opponent's skin in a way to where, hey, you guys suck. I'm proving that you guys suck.
Yep.
End of story. So Dawson's doing the right. I think he is doing the right thing by making sure that, like, look, I'm going to make you make the mistake. I'm not going to make the mistake. You're making the mistake. But he definitely needs to like ease up on those penalties, because in the end, where it's crucial, you can't take them kind of penalties during the tight moments like that.
No, absolutely not. But it was funny enough because the penalty that he got called for was the Paul Dawson rule. I mean, he used to stand in the crease and block shots. Like, that was a part of the new the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. It's the Paul Dawson rule. And it happened. I saw it happen. And I was like, finally, the refs make a good call every once in a while. And then he runs his mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, shut your mouth. Like, there's a 5-on-3 and he takes a 4-minute power play, or a 4-minute penalty kill. It doesn't matter now, but he is going to be a man possessed going into Saturday. So look out for him on the defensive side of things. I want to hope and cross my fingers that Connor Farrell's back on Saturday.
Yeah, me too.
If you go on his Instagram, he's got a new hairstyle. Went with the buzz cut. Tony, I don't know if you saw that, but he's rocking the buzz cut now. He looks like a man possessed, and he looks like a guy who's ready for the playoffs. New hairstyle, new him. We might see a new version of him where he's, who knows, maybe cutting off all that hair makes him more aerodynamic in the faceoff circle, and he turns into an absolute beast and wins every single faceoff this Saturday. That would be insane to see. But yeah, dude, if we can get him back this week, that's going to be crucial, because he looked pretty solid. Even though they didn't win the game, but he looked pretty solid in the last matchup against the Warriors. Got a lot of good possessions, and it was his faceoffs that they won to kind of spark that comeback. Because if you remember in that game, the Bandits were down 5-1, ended up taking a 7-5 lead. Faceoff after faceoff, Bandits kept getting those possessions, and they kept potting in those goals. Unfortunately, ended up on the losing side of that game. But yeah, you got to think if they won that game, the Bandits would be on a 7-game heater right now, probably fighting for a top 3 or top 2 spot. So this game is important. The Bandits are looking at a lot of options for revenge here against the Warriors. Again, I said this before, and I'm going to say it now. The Bandits have a lot more to play for than the Vancouver Warriors do. I think the Warriors are a better team than the Mammoth. They don't have to worry about them. I think the Warriors are much better than the Saskatchewan Rush. I believe those guys are absolute sinking ship right now. And I do think that the Warriors are better than the Georgia Swarm. I don't think they have to worry about losing first place unless the Bandits win out and they start to lose a couple. That's when I'd be like, oh, okay, Vancouver might be losing their spot a little bit. But if you're the Warriors or if you're a Warriors fan or if you're somebody that writes for the Warriors, let me tell you this. The Warriors are a better team than the Mammoth, Rush, and Swarm.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't worry about giving up the first spot. You're gonna host a home quarterfinal matchup no matter what, sparring a historical collapse of epic proportions in the final 3 games. I think if the Warriors win one more, that'll absolutely clinch their spot to get a home field game. But the Bandits have a lot more on the line. They're still fighting for a playoff spot, number 1. Number 2, they're also fighting for a chance to host a home quarterfinal matchup in that do or die Game 7 vibe where it's just winner takes all, single elimination. So the Bandits have a lot going for them. Are there any other players to watch, though, Tony, for the Bandits going into this weekend?
Yeah, I got to say one more player in mind, and especially with how
I think we lost you,
got a little
Tony.
cut off there.
Lost you, Tony.
And what the Bandits should do is that Joe Resetarits is going to be. Yeah, I got you. You there?
Yep,
okay,
I'm here.
Okay, we're back. Where are we? Okay.
Yep,
all right. I think Buffalo Joe is going to be the go-to next guy up if you give him the opportunities and the chances. I mean, yes, I understand Dane Smith and Josh Byrne will get their opportunities here and there. I understand. But I got a feeling after that game-winning goal he had against Saskatchewan, give him the ball more. I want to see Joe score a hat trick. I want to see him be like the top dog for a night instead of Dane Smith and Josh Byrne. I got a feeling Resetarits is going to have one of the most incredible nights that we've waited for a very, 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 very long time to witness. And I think what he should do, or what the team should do, is feed number 1-5 the ball a lot this coming Saturday.
Big time. I mean, who knows? Maybe that goal against the Rush was the opening the floodgates for Resetarits, and now you're going to start to see some of those 3-4 goal nights out of him. I mean, we're seeing them out of Lucas Nielsen. I'd love to see them out of Joe Resetarits on this side. Who knows? I mean, getting a game-winning goal is a big monkey that was lifted off his back, huge weight off his shoulders. I feel like if he goes in there against Vancouver, maybe on the first shift or the second shift, pots in a quick goal, yeah, I think he's going to start feeling it right away, and you're going to see a multi-goal night out of Buffalo Joe. I definitely agree. Time to get into the keys to a Bandits victory, though. So you lost to these guys already this year. So what I want to say, well, I got a couple things on my mind. Number 1 is the gigantic elephant in this room that needs to be addressed. Offense needs to step up, needs to be so much better. I'm sick of these quarters where it's just the Bandits score 1 goal. That's it. Or the Bandits score no goals. That happens way too much. You look at this depth that we have on offense. You look at this depth in the transition game. There is zero excuse when you look at this roster why you should only be limited to 1 goal per quarter. And we've seen that quite a few times, especially over the past 2 weeks against San Diego and Saskatchewan. This offense needs to be much better. Passing needs to be way better. No more airmailing. No more waiting till 2 seconds to shoot the ball. This offense entirely needs to be much, much better. If you can get, because I honestly want to say, despite the win, the wins, plural, against San Diego and Saskatchewan, that offense was D+. I want to say that. If you can get B- offense and Matt Vince is going to be playing the way that he's been playing for weeks on end, no doubt in my freaking mind you will beat the Vancouver Warriors this Saturday. But the offense, We got to be better because and I will also say this, they are overdue for a big night where they can just explode and they can go off for 13, 14, 15 goals.
13 is going to be probably my magic number, and especially with how the Bandits offense has got to really step up and get that gel back and be like that beginning of the year. We scored 15 in opening night. We got another 15 or so against Vegas.
13 in Calgary.
13 in Calgary. If they can find that rhythm again, this team is going to be walking into the playoffs looking like the champions that they are. And it's so scary to say that. And every team's going to be like, they found their way. They found their way back, and it's like, we can't stop them. So after you saying that, for me, for the offensive theory, less passing, more shooting. We want to see the shots on goal. We want to make Del Bianco or O'Toole, whoever they put in after him, they have got to be threatened by what you can do by shooting the ball. So that being said, every player on the roster, and I'm not just saying one, I'm saying every player on that roster better take at least one shot each. That's all I'm stating, but I want to see more than 50-plus shots this coming game because you're going to have to, especially against Christian Del Bianco, going up against this Saturday and making a statement by beating him on the scoreboard. And what I want to see is, we'll get to the score prediction soon, but I want to see a massacre. I want to see that ugly loss reversed, but against Vancouver going into the Saturday's game. I want to see that type of offense. I want to see the dangerous offense that we could have.
I think if you pepper the goalie, pick up a bunch of loose balls, get a bunch of rebounds, get a bunch of shot clock resets, that's not just going to tire out the goalie. It's going to tire out the defense too. Put them in a very vulnerable situation. That's when you can really cash in on your opportunities and score goals. Other one, I think another big key for me is special teams. Keep on what you're doing. I mean, I think the power play is still really good. Could have been a little bit better last week in Saskatchewan, but they have a pretty solid penalty kill and very good goaltender. I do want to say, though, keep on keeping on with the power play. If you are granted with a few power plays, we know what this team could do. We know what those power play lines look like. When you get Buchanan dancing around the crease and you get Reza Terrence out there with Dane and Josh and Ian McKay playing out the front door loud on the power play, that's a lethal power play. Number one in the league still. So special teams, just stick with it. Don't need to make any real changes. I do think, though, on the other side, limit yourself with the penalties. Obviously, stay out of the penalty box should be a number one thing. But
we stress that enough.
Man, we've been seeing guys like Steve Priolo and Paul Dawson take a decent amount of penalties, especially in the last month or so. And I think if you want to set a standard for your guys, and especially if you're the captain for this team, stay out of the penalty box. I think Steve Priolo wears the C on his jersey. I think he takes way too many penalties. So just stay out of the box as much as you can. Another one that I really want to say is, can we see some cross-crease passing, fast-paced cross-crease passing? When you get Del Bianco looking like, I don't know, just looking back and forth and fast-paced cross-crease, he doesn't know where the ball's going. You got him swaying from side to side. It's a lot easier to score on Christian Del Bianco when he's diving across the crease compared to when a lot of the times we see a Dane Smith shot from the restraining line hits him right in the middle of the chest. So what I'm trying to say is, in layman's terms, just be finesse. Can we see a finesse style offense in this game? I think that's the only way that you can beat Christian Del Bianco. And by that, I mean just taking shots around different times. The number one thing I do want to stress about the shot clock, though, going into this week, is when the shot clock is less than 5 seconds to go, the goalies and the defense are fully expecting a shot, because why wouldn't they? They know how much time is left in the shot clock. They can see it on the other side of the rink. Now, when you compare that to 23 seconds left on the shot clock, they don't know if a shot's coming or if a pass is coming. So create a very finesse style on offense, but also keep it fast-paced, cross-crease stuff with Kyle Buchanan and Clay Scanlon. If you can connect on those goals, try the bounce shot with Josh Byrne. Josh Byrne has a lethal bounce shot. Not even finesse. I don't even know how to really explain it. How about opening the playbook? Because a lot of times over the past couple weeks, we just see the desperation shot from the restraining line and it hits the goalie right in the middle of the chest. I don't want to see a
Right.
vanilla offense. Open up the playbook, do some cross crease stuff, do some fast paced stuff, do some bounce shots, do some behind the back stuff. Really
Mhm.
open up the playbook because if that defense doesn't know what's coming, Christian Del Bianco doesn't know what's coming either.
Agreed, especially with the different tactics that you want to go in there against the Vancouver Warriors, and especially if Johnny T's got something cooked up. I mean, change it up every once in a while. Make them keep guessing you. I mean, that's the only way your offense is going to gel and obviously score more than 10 goals, hopefully this Saturday. But be creative. Do something different. But again, pass less, shoot more. That's all we can stress enough.
Very, very long-winded explanation for me, but you kind of just said it right there. This
Yeah.
something I could have said all along to save you guys 2 minutes. Just be creative.
Be
Be creative
creative.
when you're out there. Open the playbook. Try some
That's
new
it.
things if you have to, because if you don't know what's coming, he doesn't know what's coming either. So
Nope.
that should be fun. But for the love of God, score more than 8 or 9 goals this week. Come
Yeah,
on, that should be
please,
the number
guys. We
one
need to
thing.
see more than that.
We got to see the double digits at least, bare minimum 10 goals.
Bare minimum.
That's what we need to see. But I think right now, Banditland Boulevard, world famous, Gore predictions here. Yeah, I got some weird undertones with this one, but I know that we lost last year in the Marvel jerseys, in the blue Ironmans. We lost in overtime to the San Diego Seals. I think it was 14-13 in overtime. Went back and watched those highlights today because a lot of people were comparing the jerseys that they're wearing this Saturday compared to the jerseys that they wore last year. I thought those powder blues were solid. And a lot of the Bandits fan base were like, oh, these jerseys last year or these jerseys this year are better than the crap they wore last year. I'm like, I don't think those jerseys last year that they wore against San Diego were bad at all. I think that's just people hating just to hate. But I will say this, Bandits, uniform department, can we be a little bit more creative? I will say that before we get into our score predictions here. I saw what the Toronto Rock did for their Spider-Man jerseys. I saw what the Rochester Nighthawks did for their Spider-Man jerseys. Why can't we ever get that? I mean, I like the Thanos stuff, but it's like we're wearing the Thanos armor and you really don't see you don't see the Infinity Stones, you don't see Thanos's purple, like you don't see any of that. You just see like a gold. So I might get crucified for saying this, Tony. I think last year's jerseys, the powder blues, are better looking than the ones that they're wearing this year. If they wanted to rock a purple and black jersey and have the Infinity Stones on it, that's what they should have done, in my honest opinion, and maybe stuck the Bandits logo in the shoulder corner. That's probably what I would have done. But hey, I don't do the designs for anything. If I want to do that, I just put them in Grok in Twitter and I have AI do it for me. But with that said, I think we need to avenge our defeat on the previous Marvel night. I don't see us losing. I can see us extending our winning streak to 6 games. And I said right before the Rush game, if you beat Saskatchewan Rush, my bold prediction is that you win out the rest of the season, go 12-6. So I have to pick the Bandits here. And I really do believe in the bottom of my heart that the Bandits are going to win this game. I don't think our offense comes back to 100%, but I think it's going to be a lot better than what we've seen in the past couple weeks. I'd say the Bandits beat the Warriors 11-9 on Saturday night.
So roles reverse from what we lost to in Vancouver. It comes back for you, and it goes 11-9 the other way.
Yep.
But I mean, I do like that too, especially with how Matt Vince is going to be playing and the defense is going to be solidified. I'm going to take this, like I said, this is a moment where, hey, what we lost to in Colorado, and I'm not saying that Vancouver is not going to allow that many, but it's going to be somewhat. I've got a feeling we're going to just go an all-out assault on Vancouver this Saturday, and I'm going to go big and bold, and I'm going to say the Bandits are also going to win, and they're going to win 16-10.
Okay, 16-10. I don't mind winning by a touchdown. That would be great. Very convincing going up against the number 1 team in the league.
16-10.
That would be awesome. Yeah, if they win that game, they damn well better win out if they win the game 16-10. Absolutely. So I got 11-9, 16-10. I'll take either outcome. I think 16-10 would be the much.
Either way, it's a dub.
Either way, just get the higher crooked number on the scoreboard. We will be happy.
That's right.
It's just as long as we see the offense start to slowly but surely return, and I think they will. The fact that they're coming back home, 19,070. They're off of this Western road trip. These guys got to travel east, meaning Vancouver. They have to travel all the way across the continent to play us. So I like our chances. I really do. And the Bandits have played Vancouver pretty well at home in their history. So I do want to mention that as well. But I got 11-9. You got 16-10. I think, Tony, right now, time to shout out the sponsors.
Banditland Boulevard is brought to you in part by Mitchell's Tavern, located at 734 Sheridan Drive up in Tonawanda, New York. Guys, myself, Tony LaMonica, over there, Trevor Hauer, is telling you to go check out Mitchell's Tavern. Their food is amazing. Their service is phenomenal. They will treat you like family. Also, if you guys are trying to book your next big trip or vacation, please contact Suzanne Pike at herniesjourneys.com. Let her book your next big adventure. And finally, we'd like to thank Nino's Pizzeria, located at 2 locations here in Western New York at 1737 Orchard Park Road in West Seneca and in 315 Buffalo Street in Hamburg. Guys, if you want to order your pizza, wings, subs, you name it, as you like it, only in America. And for those watching us here live on YouTube through StreamYard, and you see the little symbol right up there, give us that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell every time we talk about Buffalo Bandits lacrosse. But if you're only listening in on every device known to man through your tablet, your phone, or your radio station through Spotify, give us that 5-star rating that we talk only good things about your boys in the orange and black, your Buffalo Bandits.
The Bandits look to extend their win streak to 6 games and likely clinch a postseason spot. I think 10-8 gets you in, especially with Rochester and Oshawa on deck and the way that the 7-8 seeds have been playing lately. I think 10 wins gets you in. So just win this week. We'll take it week by week, but I think
one game at a time.
A strong possibility of at least clinching a playoff spot this weekend. But Tony and I got 3 simple words we tell you at the end of every single episode of Banditland Boulevard. Whether we win, whether we lose, whether we win 11-9 or win 16-10, or flip-flop those, lose 11-9, lose 16-10, we always end the show with 3 simple words. Tony, what are those 3 words?
As Chris Swenson always says in Banditland, in 3, 2, 1. Let's go, Bandits. Let's go, boys. Let's go. Get that dub.
I am inevitable.